What's up, guys? We're back with another pellet review. Today we're doing the H&N Crow Magnum. Now, quick side note, a couple brands, as with many pellets, make this pellet style. So H&N is not the only brand that makes the quote-unquote Crow Magnum, or pellets that look pretty much exactly like this. So this review can be relative to any pellet of this style, but you know, this is the specific H&N review, and the weight of this pellet is 18.21 grains. We're doing the 22 caliber 5.5 millimeter review. What we will be doing today is we'll be taking these Crow Magnum pellets, as you can see right here. This is what they look like, and we will be shooting them into clay. First shot will be a non-barrier shot, nothing in front of it. Second shot will have this double barrier. This is 2 layers of pine and 3 layers of aluminum. The first layer has aluminum wrapped around it, and then the second layer has 1 layer stapled on top. So it's 3 layers of aluminum, 2 layers of pine. This will be in front of the target, however which way, and the we'll see how the pellet impacts and penetrates the barrier, and then how it affects the clay afterwards in comparison to hitting the clay on its own without anything in front of it. We'll also have some goodie shots of other stuff that we'll be shooting with the Crow Magnum, and yeah, so let's get to the barrier shot. We'll do just the clay shot first, then we'll do the barrier after that, and we'll talk about each shot after them. All right, let's go. Alright, so we're looking at the accuracy testing target for the Crow Magnum pellet. This is the group you saw me shoot, okay, and this was the group I shot right before to make sure that the pressure and my scope was on. It was 3 shots. This was 5 shots for the camera. This was 3 shots, but this was taken right after this one. And as you can see, the point of impact is a little bit lower, and that's just because I'm still tuning my gun and whatnot. Pressure wise, it's a custom PCP. So if we measure this across here, it's pretty much an inch, maybe a little bit more than an inch across. But yeah, so an inch at 30. You can see this one's obviously going to be much smaller. This one's like a 1/2 inch. So yeah, I mean, and again, the only reason I'm doing accuracy tests with these pellets is, like, obviously if pellets have like major deformities, they're going to fly wonky and not do well. If pellets just don't do well in general. But I mean, it's going to be really dependent on your gun, how well they shoot, what velocities you're shooting at, what distances you're shooting at. But this is just to give you an idea of their capability. I mean, even this group's still great for hunting, like at 30 yards. And again, I'm still tuning it. It's not like a regulated PCP, you know, $1,000 Airgun. Mine's a custom PCP, so it's a bit different. But yeah, all right. Whoa, guys. Crow Magnum pellets are crazy effective. Look at that. Look at that shock. Dangerous. Dangerous, dangerous pellets. You guys see that eggplant explode? Whew. You guys hear the slap of these pellets? Crazy. Crazy. Alright, so that was our non-barrier test for the Crow Magnum pellet by H&N. We're doing 22 caliber, and man, guys, as you can see, the expansion was obvious and the energy transfer was very immediate. So the pellet traveled about 3 inches, and you can see that it's lodged right there. You can see that this wound cavity, compared to my finger, is huge. Let's see over here. It's about 3 inches deep, as you can see. Get a side angle. Take the pellet out. I haven't looked at it yet. Wow. Try to get a clear shot for you guys. Just massive expansion. Okay, to put this in perspective for you guys, this is an unfired Crow Magnum, and that's the fired Crow Magnum. So obviously these are, meant to be hollow points for birds, rats. They're quick energy transfer, low penetration rounds that will stop in the target. That's pretty obvious right here. Like, Jesus, look at that. That's crazy. I mean, that's some of the best expansion I've seen on pellets. And if we get a width of these cavities here, yeah, that's what I was guessing. About 1 inch. So, woof. So 22 caliber causing 1 inch diameter wound cavities. That's pretty crazy. Alright, guys. So we're going to do the barrier test now, and so I'm going to remold this block, and I'm going to put the barrier up against it, and then we'll see what type of wound cavity it creates after it goes through a barrier. So that's up next. Okay, so that was pretty cool. To give you a closer look at what this barrier was made up of, this was the first layer, and you can see that pine with aluminum wrapped around it, blasted right through that. Second one was behind it, blasted right through it. Pretty interesting too, it dragged chunks of the pine and the aluminum into the cavity. So there's some more pine, piece of aluminum that was pretty much the size of the pellet, must have been in the hollow point. This is the pellet, as you can see. So as you can see, it definitely expanded to a degree. It didn't expand classically as the other one did. I'll compare them in a second. But that's totally to be expected, especially going through metal barriers and wood and whatnot. The main thing to see here is that it didn't fragment. It held its mass, penetrated the barriers, expanded, and then we still got another 3.5 inches of penetration into the clay. And this was at about 15 yards. So pretty good for going through a double barrier, 3 layers of metal, 2 layers of wood, you know what I mean? And then it's still pretty much getting the penetration it got when we shot the non-barrier, and we'll compare. Let's do a comparison here. Okay, so unfired Crow Magnum pellet, clay fired Crow Magnum, you know, no barrier, and then this is the barrier shot. So these two were fired at the same range, okay, both hit clay, you know, but you know, obviously this one just hit pure clay, so it, you know, the hollow point wasn't clogged, it was able to do exactly what it was meant to do. You know, this one had to go through the metal and whatnot, but it still expanded to a degree, obviously, you know, deformation, and it stayed together. And looking at this one, you can even appreciate it more, just how well it expanded and stayed together. You know, it didn't fragment. It, you know, and the reason I say that is because you want it to hold its mass together so it can penetrate deeper, and B, it's just nice not to have to look through your food for, you know, slivers of lead. So, you know, if you're using a hunting hollow point that stays together, you know, it's going to be less contamination into your game and whatnot. So very uniform expansion. Very, very impressive. You know, not too surprising. You know, if you look at this, this is such a superior design compared to something like, let's say, the Crosman Hollow Point Premier. That pellet is the almost opposite of a hollow point. It, you know, look at this hollow point. It has huge, wide open hole, thin wall surrounding it, making it very easy to expand. The Crosman is the opposite, very tiny hole. It's like reinforced rim of lead around the whole of the hollow point. So this is a superior hollow point in every way. If you guys, at the beginning of the video, we had the accuracy testing at 30 yards. These are very accurate. So I'm very impressed with their accuracy. I'll show you guys that in a second. And yeah, so these pellets are absolutely fantastic hollow point pellets. They're very accurate, very consistent penetration, expansion, and I would like to hear your guys' experience with them and how you feel about them, and what you've used them for and on and whatnot. I think they would be great up to anything to like a raccoon size, just because obviously headshot wise with anything they would be great. But you could honestly take, yeah, up to raccoon with this. Could you take a coyote with this? No, I wouldn't say you should, something that large, even if you're using a high-powered 22 airgun. Because unless you're going for a headshot, this just doesn't have the depth of penetration you're going to want. You're just going to want a little bit heavier and slower expanding hollow point. Just in case you do go for like a heart or lung shot, and in case you do hit heavier bone and whatnot, because these are just gonna, you know, slow down too fast after they hit. These are too efficient of hollow points to go for bigger game. These are Crow Magnum pellets. These are meant to take birds and small game that they need to disperse their energy immediately. So I would say up to raccoons, these are going to be just absolute whompers. So, yeah. Alright. Thanks for watching. We'll look at the accuracy testing, and that'll be that. Alright, thanks guys. Subscribe for more pellet tests. Let me know what type of pellets you want to see me do. And yeah, thanks.